So Lemma 3.11 says let k be an integer, non-negative integer, then limit of n choose k over n to the k's power as x approaches to infinity will be equal to 1 over k factorial. So, for example, let's say we have limits of n choose 5 over n to the 5th power as x approaches to infinity. Then, well, first of all, we know that n choose 5 means n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 times n times 3, n minus 3 times n minus 4. That's n choose 5. So this limit will become, this limit of n choose 5 over n to the 5th power is this guy, which is n times n minus 1, blah, 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 all the way up to n minus 4, all over 5 factorials times n to 5th power. So limit of n choose 5 over n to the 5th power as x approaches to infinity equals n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 times n minus 3 times n minus 4 all over 5 factorials times n 5th power. 5 factorials is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, as you have learned in Algebra 2. So this will be equal to, I'm just going to take this 1 over 5 factorials out in front. So we have 1 over 5 factorials times limit of n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 times n minus 3 times n minus 4 all over n to the 5th power. This equals 1 over 5 factorials, limit x approaches to infinity, limit over n times n. So I'm going to break this apart because n to the 5th power is n times n times n times n times n. So I take first n, so it's going to be n over n times n minus 1 over n times n minus 2 over n times n minus 3 over n times n minus 4 over n. So that's going to be equal to 1 over 5 factorial. X approaches to infinity. I keep forgetting about it. Limits x approaches to infinity as x approaches to infinity. N over n is 1 times n minus 1 over n. This equals n over n minus 1 over n, which n over n is 1. So I'm going to rewrite it as 1 over 1 minus 1 n. So we'll have 1 minus 1 nth. For the same reason, we'll have 1 minus 2 nth times 1 minus 3n, 3 over n, times 1 minus 4 over n. Now, as x approaches to, oh, I'm sorry, this should be n, because I'm using n, sorry. As n goes to infinity, this part will be very close to, getting closer and closer to 0, because as n gets bigger and bigger and bigger and getting closer and closer to infinity, this entire fraction or this entire number gets closer and closer to 0. So does 2 over n, so does 3 over n, so does 4 over n. So what I really have is 1 over 5 factorials times the limits of 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 as n approaches to infinity. Well, this guy really is 1. Therefore, it is 1 over 5 factorials times 1, which is 1 over 5 factorials. So the limit of n choose 5 over n to the 5th power as x approaches to infinity, just like the lemma 3.11 says, this equals 5 factorials.